Hi, my name is Sarah and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I generally post garden related content, and so I would say that I subscribe to the gardening and homesteading community here on YouTube. But because the growing season is basically over for me now, I don't want to stop posting to my channel because I've really been enjoying posting to my YouTube channel. And so over the winter I'll probably be posting other content, but today it's kind of a mix. So I've been tagged by the Homegrown Wife to answer 10 questions about frugally living on the homestead. But as I read through the questions, it's more of a get to know you, get to know your gardening style, and a few frugal tips along the way. So some of these questions don't really apply to me because I'm not actually living on a homestead. I live in town and have a backyard garden, but at the end I'm going to give you my 5 top tips for saving some money and living a frugal life. So with that, let's get into the tag. The first question is, how long have you been homesteading or living the frugal life? This will be my 3rd year gardening and living frugally. Well, I've been living intentionally frugally since we got married, which is just shy of 4 years ago. But my parents definitely practiced a lot of frugal habits. I was very protected when it came to finances and working with money. My parents basically paid for everything growing up. Not that we were a wealthy family by any means, but we're your standard middle class family. And I saw lots of frugal habits. My parents never bought name brand, or very rarely bought name brand groceries, were careful with what they spent their money on. It wasn't something I was acutely aware of why they were doing it. In fact, for me, it was a frustration when I was young how my parents were so cheap. But now that I'm older and spending my own money, I understand a lot more. So sorry, Mom and Dad, for all the attitude I gave you as a child. Okay, number 2. What country are you from? Where are you now? And why did you choose the location that you live? So I live in Canada, Southern Ontario. Canada's a very big place, and even Southern Ontario is a very big place. I live about an hour outside of Toronto, and I'm here because my family's here. We grew up here, both of us grew up here, and at this stage of life we have one little baby and want to continue to grow our family. It's just important to us that our kids grow up close to family, to their cousins. I grew up, all my best friends growing up were my cousins, and many of them still are, and so that's important to us. We would be open to moving away if we found that dream homestead property. I don't think we could move more than an hour or 2 away from our family. So right now we want to stay here, but we'll see what happens. If you could only grow one fruit and one vegetable, what would they be and why? I mean, vegetable in actual gardening language isn't a word, because you either eat the fruit of the plant or you eat the plant itself. But I would say tomatoes for sure. Even though I don't prefer to eat raw tomatoes, they're just so versatile, and I cook with them constantly all the time. You can preserve them, diced tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, tomato sauce, pizza sauce, tomato paste. There's just so much that you can do with tomatoes, and they're such a staple. I think they're one of those things that you don't realize how much you use them until you don't have them. So I definitely would say tomatoes. And then either potatoes or carrots. One of those two. Probably potatoes. Potatoes are more versatile, and you eat them a lot more often, but carrots have more nutrition. So tomatoes for sure, and then potatoes and carrots maybe. Number 4 is give your one top tip for living the frugal life. I think my top tip is plan your purchases. Whether that's meal planning for the week so you're not buying more groceries than you need, or just when you're out and about, you only buy things that you have planned ahead of time. Even if you see something that you're like, oh, I really want that, or oh, I think I need that, don't buy it at that time. Wait, go home, and then plan for it another time, not the next day, like a week or something. Because you may find that when you leave the store and you leave that place, you may not need that item as much as you thought you did. The majority of my not frugal spending and unplanned spending is through Instagram ads. Old Navy ads come up with cute baby clothes, or there's a great sale on somewhere, and I will buy things so quickly without even thinking about it, and it's very dangerous. So definitely plan your purchases, because I know for me that's my biggest weakness. And I just think of like this past period of COVID/maternity leave. I have made so many impulse purchases online just because all I'm doing is scrolling through my phone. So I've done a few things to help with that. My social media is temporarily removed from my phone. I'm not going to say I'm deleting my accounts. I did watch The Social Dilemma, and wow. If you haven't watched The Social Dilemma, you need to. If you have watched The Social Dilemma, tell me what you think. I know my husband and I both at the end were like, turn off all notifications. But yeah, I will fully admit that I'm addicted to Instagram, and so which is surprising because I don't really post on my gardening Instagram a whole lot, but my personal Instagram I'm on 24/7. So yeah, plan your purchases. Don't buy just because. Make sure everything has a reason. The more you plan ahead of time, the less likely you are to spend money on things you don't need, because it's a preemptive purchase. So number 5 is give your one best tip for homestead living. Now, I am not homestead living. My garden is not big enough to feed us through that season. It's more of a hobby at this point, something I enjoy doing, but I'm trying to learn ways to make my small space as productive as possible. But if you are a homesteader, and I know a lot of my subscribers are like on farm homesteaders, and I'm so jealous of you guys, leave your top tip for homestead living below. Number 6, tell us something about you that we would never have guessed. I hate driving. I'm not a bad driver. It's not that I lack confidence while I'm driving. I just don't like driving. I've always said that if I were to win the lottery or like come across a lot of money, I wouldn't buy a beautiful dream home. I wouldn't go on a fancy vacation. I would hire a chauffeur. That's just me. I prefer to be the passenger. What did you do before this style of living, such as your job or lifestyle? I was a student and I was a child with my parents. Basically, as soon as I entered adulthood, or at least independence from my parents, I started living a lot more frugally. I would say it definitely wasn't until I was married that I really understood money and how I need to be more frugal. Number 8, tell us about your style of growing methods and why you use that method for growing your crops. I would say that I subscribe to square foot gardening, but I also break the rules all the time. So maybe square foot gardening and high intensity gardening, I kind of just throw stuff in and I'm like, let's see what happens. I'm often unsuccessful in the crops I grow because I'm not growing out of need. I have room for error so that I can go and just like throw stuff in, see how it works. Number 9, list the main crops, trees, or produce you grow and tell us something you don't currently grow but would love to try. I grow a lot of tomatoes. I just enjoy growing tomatoes. I love the process of pruning off suckers and all that kind of stuff. I like growing tomatoes, so I grow a lot of those. I also love peppers and always try to grow peppers but fail miserably every time. I always make some sort of error. So I like growing peppers. I'm not very good at it, but I like it. Hey, I didn't say I was a good gardener. Hence the name, not a green thumb, because I don't claim to be a good gardener by any means. I just like it. And what would I love to try growing? I have never grown melons, but have always wanted to. I really want to grow melons, but everyone who lives in my area says that our growing season isn't long enough for melons, that you can try, but you might get one that will really mature. And also they take up a lot of space, and I just don't have a ton of space. I did purchase many seeds of basically any personal sized melon that I came across. I bought the seeds for. I want to try all of them next year, but I'm not gonna have enough room to do that. So maybe I'll just pick a few, but I'm gonna try melons next year. I'm gonna try them. So if you have any tips, if you have a short growing season and you grow melons, give me your top tips below. I really want to know. Please give me your tips. Okay, last question is, give us any links to find out more about you or your homestead, frugal living, and links to anything that you sell, and tell us why your channel is unique. So that's a lot of stuff. My channel is just so go with the flow. I mostly do gardening in the summer, like I said, but now that the gardening season is over, I want to dabble in things, just things that I like to watch. So I'm a mom, so I'll probably post some motherhood stuff. Probably will post clean with me's because I love to watch them. I've already posted a haul and have another haul planned that's coming up. Follow along, and if there's something you really like that I post, make sure you comment and I'll be sure to do more of that. Below I will link some channels or videos that I really found helpful when learning how to live frugally. My favorite, like number one favorite channel for frugal living is definitely Jordan Page. I think her channel is called Fun Cheaper Free. Most of the things I learn are from her. I also really like Minority Mindset. He talks more about investments and stocks and stuff like that, so I'll link him below. Farmhouse on Boone, she's a homesteader, but she's not really part of the homestead community. She's more motherhood and lifestyle, and she has really great stuff for handmade, homemade, and frugal living. So I'll put, those are I would say my top 3 channels, but anything else I can think of I'll have linked below. And in the spring, I'm going to start selling for the Body Shop at Home. So the Body Shop at Home is starting up in Canada in the spring. There's not a set date. It will be a really good opportunity to make some extra money, and that's the goal. Maybe you're a teacher and you want a little extra income in the summer when you're off. Send me an email and I'll send you some information. I can have anyone around the globe sign up under me. I really want to grow a team with the Body Shop. I think it'll be really fun. Actually, there's something you guys don't know about me. I love sales. I've never worked retail. I've never worked in sales, but I love sales. I really find it like a challenge and it's fun. So there's an interesting little thing. Okay, so now my 5 top tips for living a frugal life and saving yourself some money. Tip number 1 is, and it kind of goes with the plan your purchases, so it does kind of go with the main one, is have a wait period. So if you see something you really like, you really want to buy it, wait. If it's in store, go home and wait at least 24 hours before you go and buy it. But if it's online, what I highly suggest, add whatever it is to your cart and leave it for a week. Because after a week, if it's still sitting in your cart, a lot of stores will actually send you a coupon so you can get it for cheaper. But also you might find that you forget about it and never go back to purchase it. And then next time you go on to that website, you'll be like, oh, why is my cart full of stuff? And then you know you can delete that stuff because you clearly don't need it, even if it is super cute, or you'll look at it and you'll be like, oh yeah, I love that. But just the fact that you forgot about it shows you don't need it and you won't miss it if you don't buy it. Number 2, don't autofill your credit card. On your browser, on your phone, it's so easy now to autofill your credit card. iPhones, you can even literally tap your phone as your credit card. Don't do those things. The more steps you have to go through to make the purchase, the more time you have to rethink your decision. I know I signed up for PayPal earlier this year. I have made so many purchases so fast because I just pay with PayPal, enter my password, and it's done. At one point I got a new phone, and so all my autofills were gone. There were so many times that I just didn't buy stuff because I'm like, oh, I don't feel like going to get my credit card, and by the time I had it with me, I had forgotten about it. So don't do that. Number 3 is take your time when you're buying groceries. So when we first got married, I wasn't working other than teaching violin and piano lessons. So because my income was quite small, but I had lots of time, I took it as part of my job was to save us as much money in daily purchases as I could. So instead of going to the grocery store whenever we needed stuff, I went to the grocery store every Friday morning. That was just the day I picked, and I would spend 2 or 3 hours grocery shopping. Not that I was buying a ton of groceries, I was just checking the price per gram or ounce or whatever the unit of measurement was on all of my options, so I got the best price. I went through and made sure that I got the thing with the latest expiry date so that I knew that that product was going to last us as long as possible. So yeah, taking your time, you can save so much money grocery shopping without couponing, without price matching. You can save so much money just by not being in a rush. Tip number 4 is have multiple bank accounts. For us, there are no options here that give you a worthwhile interest on savings accounts that would make me want to put all my money in one place. And so for me, I find it makes me want to save more, and it also makes me more frugal when I can see I have a bank account for our health stuff. I have a bank account for saving for a future car. I have a bank account for vet bills in case Alfie gets sick. So I have all these different accounts for specific things, and that allows me to see where my money is, see how much there is, and then if I have a goal in mind, I'm more acutely aware of how close I am to that goal. Whereas if you have one big lump of money in one place, you're just like, oh, I've got so much money, and you don't want to spend it as much. But for us, we only keep the minimum we have to in our checking account, and the rest of it is broken up so we don't feel like if I look at the grand total at the bottom, I'm like, oh, we're not doing that bad. But when I look at what every dollar has been purposefully put towards something, then I don't feel as rich. Okay, and my last tip is buy quality. If you're going to buy something, don't buy cheap, poorly made stuff. So whether that means going to the thrift store or a consignment shop, you can find really good quality clothing for less money there. But even buying it new, for me, I always spend on shoes. And it's not that I love shoes. I'm not the kind of person that has like 800 pairs of shoes. But when I buy a pair of shoes, I want it to last. My mom has shoes and boots that she's had for as long as I can remember, and they're still in beautiful condition because she bought quality goods and she takes care of them. Anything that I know I will use forever if I have it, I'd rather spend more money up front and it lasts me years instead of buying the same thing over and over again seasonally. Cheaper is not always less expensive. Okay, well, that's it. That's my get to know you and answering those tag questions and my 5 tips. Let me know if you do any of these tips or what your top tip is for living a frugal life. And now lastly, I need to tag some people. I would like to tag Mitza Creek Farm and Hometown Homestead to answer the questions which I have in the description box below, and give us your top tips for living a frugal life. These are 2 channels I've only recently discovered, and they've got great content, so be sure to check them out. They will be linked below in the description box. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, tell me what you think, leave a comment, and if you're new, I would really love if you subscribed and got to know me a little bit better, and I can get to know you. Hope you're having a wonderful day as always, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.